Hi guys, welcome back. So it's another World Cup themed video as I deep dive into some of the intricacies of a Rugby World Cup. And one thing that comes up again and again in World Cups is who's been stitched up with the schedule and who gets that killer 6-day turnaround. Now in the past it's been accused that Rugby World Cups have stitched up the smaller nations, giving them worse recovery times. Let's see if it's true. So I thought I'd go into the schedule and see, have they been stitched up? And it was certainly an interesting experiment, so stick around for the results of that. But first of all, why is it such a big deal? Well, it just so happens physiologically that 7 days seems about right, or I should say adequate, for a high-level rugby player or a professional rugby player to recover from one game to the next. Now, I say adequate as in you're going to be stiff, you're going to be sore. A lot of the times you're going to have DOMS, delayed onset of muscle soreness, all that little micro damage you get from games, all that fluid. And teams try and mitigate that through, massage, ice baths, active recovery, all that good stuff. But even so, it takes a few days to get over a game, then maybe even get some meaningful training in before the next game. And by that 7 days, generally, they're about ready to go. Now, as players get older, get a few more long-term injuries, that gets a little bit tougher. Even a 7-day turnaround is very tight. A good analogy is older professional rugby players are a bit like Tom the Tortoise here. He's 70 years old, you pop him in the sun for a few hours, he warms up, he'll go around the garden a couple of times fairly fast. When it gets cold, he'll slow down. Indeed, a slug had actually camped on his head. He hadn't moved for a couple of hours tonight. Let's pop him away. And you hear plenty of stories from old pros saying how much longer it took them later in their career to recover from a match. I mean, in the 2003 World Cup, many of the old pros from England, say Martin Johnson, would report they were literally held together by sticky tape and they were just surviving from one match to the next. If you're a bit younger, you've got less injuries, it's a bit easier, but certainly 7 days is the minimum you need. It's just been proven by the period of time that's what it takes to recover. Anyway, I'll pop up the schedule as well occasionally. Let's see if these smaller nations have been stitched up. So I only looked at 6-day turnarounds rather than doing averages and all of that, just because it's a little bit easier to understand. Plus it would have taken forever and this one took long enough. So let's have a look, and I've kind of divided them up into the bigger teams and the smaller teams just to see if there was a difference. It's all arbitrary. You could divide them up very differently. So let's get into these results. First of all, Argentina and Australia, the two A's there, no 6-dayers at all. So you're thinking, oh, hang on, is there a bit of a stitch up here? Have all the big teams been given no 6-dayers? Well, no, that's not the case. We've got England, they've got a 6-day turnaround between Japan and Chile. And similar to, say, France, their opposition after the 6-day turnaround is fairly lowly ranked, so expect a lot of rotation from England, or certainly they've got the option to rotate and really do whatever they want because they're probably going to get maximum points from that game. And no disrespect to any of these lower ranked teams, it's just the way that coaches will plan strategically. In public they'll probably say something else like we've got to fully respect the opposition, but they absolutely will be looking for chances and reasons to rotate and reasons why they have to rotate. As I mentioned, France, the hosts, they've got another 6-day turnaround. It's between the New Zealand game, the opener, and then Uruguay. So again, expect a lot of rotation. They could indeed get all their players some experience. That's an option that they might go for. Plus, it's kind of half needed because of the 6-day turnaround. Japan, Ireland, no 6-dayers, so good news for them. Maybe another reason to say why this is Ireland's year. Then on to New Zealand, and their 6-day turnaround is between Italy and Uruguay, and it comes right at the end of the pool stage, so maybe even more reason to rest lots of players for the Uruguay game and get them fresh for the quarterfinals. I'm pretty sure they will be in a quarterfinal, so that Uruguay game might be whoever's fresh and fit to play. Scotland, they've got their 6-dayer between Tonga and Romania. So they've got two big games at the beginning and the end of their pools, and these ones in the middle. So they're probably at liberty to do whatever they want in these two games. It should be okay. They should be able to beat these two teams, particularly Romania. So they may well rest players for that Romania game. Then on to the Springboks, South Africa, and they've got their 6-dayer between Romania and the massive game against Ireland at the end of the pool. Now, they might have rotated anyway and rested their first choice for that Ireland game, but because it's a 6-dayer anyway, it looks almost certain now they will rotate a lot for Romania. And then on to Wales, they've got a 6-dayer between Fiji and Portugal. that Fiji game is right at the beginning of the tournament, and all teams want to play their first choice team at the beginning of the tournament anyway, despite what the opposition is. So they're going to go first choice, I'm sure, against Fiji, and then they'll probably do a lot of rotation against Portugal, maybe use the chance to get everyone else who wasn't involved against Fiji a game. I think that's very possible. So looking at those bigger teams, is there a clear split? Are they being favoured? No, I don't think so. I think it's fairly evenly split when you look at the smaller teams I've grouped together here. Chile, they've got a 6-dayer between Japan and Samoa, and it was always going to be tough. However, it was spread out for Chile, but goodness me, they're going to need their best team to have a chance in any match, so they're just going to have to soldier on through. There's no easy solutions here. Then Fiji, Georgia and Italy have no 6-dayers, so no stitching up of the slightly smaller nations there. Namibia, however, they get a 6-dayer, and oh my god, this is painful, between New Zealand and France. No good answer for Namibia, absolutely brutal. If any of them survive against New Zealand, then they've got to step up after 6 days versus France. So they were always going to find it tough in this World Cup, and this just makes it a hell of a lot tougher. So you might think that's a bit of stitch up, but then we've got Portugal and Romania with no 6-dayers as well. Tonga as well, no 6-dayers, but Samoa, they've got 6 days between Chile and Argentina, and they have to wait a long time for their opening fixture, so they're inevitably going to have a 6-dayer because of that, and they might just have to suck this one up because, again, they probably want to start with pretty much their first choice team, even though it's against a lower ranked opposition, so they might have to go back to back in 6 days against Argentina, so that's a difficult decision for the Samoan management. And then finally Uruguay, their 6 days between France and Italy. And again, any 6-dayer for a smaller team is no good because they want to roll out maybe their same team again and again. They're going to be pretty sore from France, and then they have to play against the quick tempo Italians. So that's a really tough turnaround. So anyway, in conclusion, I can't really see this historical idea of stitching up the smaller nations this time round. So I think that's pretty good. Certainly those teams that have escaped 6-day turnaround must be really happy. But maybe I did spot one slight favouring of the bigger nations. None of those top 7 ranked teams in the world feature in the last round of pool games, which would give you a 6-day turnaround till a quarter final. So is that unfair, or is that just the benefit of being higher ranked when the draw is made? Anyway, guys, pop all the comments below, especially how your team is shaping up with the rest between games, because it can be quite a big thing. And do check out any of these other World Cup themed videos. I'm trying to get some interesting content out there as we build up to the World Cup. Anyway, comments below, and I'll catch you next time.